Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today at the New York NBA. Today, we're going to have a great session with Jackie G's 10 on Tech. And today we have a tech demo platform, which will be great. My name is Bill Kennedy with the New York NBA's Education Committee. I am alongside our Education Committee Chairperson, Elizabeth Cheney, the President of the New York NBA, Mike Pulver, and Joe Culver, our Executive Director. So on the 20th of this month, we're going to have another Affordable Friday hosted by Sherry Eccles and Brian Garris. And on that day, the 20th, we're going to have Bill Teague from Sunny May join them as a guest. And before we get started, a few housekeeping notes. Please use the chat function to notify us of any technical issues you have. During today's webinars, all lines are muted except for our presenters. And throughout the session, you'll have the opportunity to ask questions via the chat. And we'll do our best to address as many as we can during the Q&A session. We'll be sharing the presentation slides and relevant resources with you after the webinar. Always stay connected with the New York NBA. We're on LinkedIn. Our website is newyorknba.org, and our YouTube channel is where we post our recordings. And as a reminder, we do this all the time. We urge you to join the Mortgage Action Alliance. It's easy, it's free, and it's the way to stay informed of legislative issues that impact our business. At this time, I'd like to bring the partner of Pearson and Ferdinand, Jackie Garachik, to the stage. And you have a busy day, Jackie. I'll let you go.
Thanks, Bill. I just want to give everybody a quick shout out. Thank you for joining the webinar throughout the year. We're really excited about 10 on Tech and what we've been able to bring the membership, and hopefully a lot more exciting to come in 2025. We felt like this was a great way to close out 2024. We have the New York NBA first annual Tech Demo Day, which was really brought to us by Patrick O'Brien. He brought us this great lineup of speakers today, so we're super excited about that. The format of today's presentation is going to be a 10-minute demo by each of the 5 respective organizations. And if you have questions, please put them in the chat. Just note who you're asking the question directly to, and then that person will follow up with you after the presentation. So without further ado, we are going to present Patrick O'Brien, CEO of LenderLogix. QuickCal by LenderLogix seamlessly integrates with your loan origination system, empowering loan officers to provide home buyers and real estate partners with cutting-edge, borrower-specific payment calculator. This intuitive tool delivers personalized closing cost scenarios, side-by-side comparisons of loan products, and even allows borrowers to update pre-qualification letters as they shop for their dream home. QuickQual simplifies the home buying process, ensuring borrowers stay informed and confident every step of the way. Patrick O'Brien, take it away.
I'm starting the clock on my timer here so I can make sure that I'm finishing in time here, and then I gotta share my screen here. So like Jackie said, I'm Patrick O'Brien, LenderLogix. We sell primarily point of sale software. And the product that I'm going to demo here, this product called QuickQual, is a product that we sell both as a standalone solution and one that's integrated with the point of sale. But because I only have 10 minutes here, I'm just kind of going to walk through it as a standalone solution and not as it's integrated into the point of sale. And I'm hoping you'll kind of close your eyes and just sort of like picture something with me here. So, Saturday afternoon, a loan officer's at their kid's soccer game. Game's in full swing, sun shining, parents are cheering. And then that loan officer feels a little buzz in their pocket, and it's a realtor, and it's, hey, I need an updated pre-approval letter. The Smiths, they're putting in an offer. We need it now. We need this updated pre-qualification law now. So every loan officer has been through this scenario before. They step away from the game, head to the car, fire up the laptop, 10 minutes logging into the LOS, the VPN, all that, searching for the file, updating the letter, generating a PDF, attaching it to an email, and sending it out to the realtor, hoping they didn't miss too much of the game. And, this is an important part of the process, an important part of the process for the home buyer. but it's just sort of this clerical task that loan officers have to do. And the reality is that loan officers spend about a third of their time doing things like this, whether it's issuing pre-qual letters, updating closing cost scenarios, running payment scenarios for borrowers, critical to closing deals, but they're these repetitive tasks, time consuming, and interrupt people at really kind of like the worst times of their life. Not even to mention that the anxious nature of what the borrower and the realtor are dealing with at that point in time, waiting for the loan officer to reply. So that's why we created QuickQual. It empowers borrowers and loan officers to do these things on their device. They can issue these pre-approval letters, explore the financing scenarios, see closing cost summaries in real time, without pulling the loan officer away, during these times. So what I'm about to show you is the borrower and the realtor experience, kind of like what they see as they're interacting with the technology. Obviously, there's a component that the loan officer is interacting with, and that would be a different spot. And now what I'm going to do is share my phone screen, and I can tell you that there's like very little things that are as nerve-wracking as sharing your phone screen on a Zoom call with a bunch of strangers here. So let me try to accept here. Okay. So here we are. I'm a borrower. I'm the borrower on the other side of that transaction. My loan officer's at the soccer game. And instead of calling that loan officer, I have this nice utility on my phone that I can utilize to accomplish all those tasks. And essentially what's laid out in front of me as a borrower is this nice calculator that is set up for the scenarios that the loan officer qualified me for. So this is not a generic loan calculator that's just going to let me run any numbers. This is absolutely dialed into the financing scenario that the loan officer qualified me for. And in this situation, the loan officer qualified me for kind of two scenarios, a 30-year conventional and a 15-year conventional. And I'm able to page through those two scenarios there. And what I'm able to do as the borrower is to punch in a purchase price for the house I'm looking at and punch in the property taxes. And this is going to give me a hyper accurate picture of what the financing is going to look like within that scenario. So my borrowers might be looking at a house for, say, $525,000. They punch in that $525,000. It recomputes everything as far as down payment goes. They can punch in the property taxes, let's say $7,423. And what it does is it gives my borrower here a hyper accurate payment. This is absolutely dialed into the scenario that they qualify for, the PMI rate, interest rate, minimum down payment, all that kind of stuff. So this is an accurate number. This is not a generic closing cost or a generic monthly payment calculator here. And if I hit this closing cost tab here, this is giving my borrower a really accurate picture for how much cash they're going to need to close on this house. This is integrated with the loan origination system. So we know what the closing costs are. We know how much the prepaids are. So in this situation, my borrower needs $41,252 in cash to close, and the monthly payment's going to be $4,279. So instead of having to rush out and call that loan officer when they're at their kid's soccer game, because it meets the guardrails that the loan officer had set up for this borrower, there's a little button there at the bottom that says issue pre-approval letter. My borrower can click that, or my realtor can click that if the loan officer enabled that functionality for the realtor. I'm just going to zoom in here. And there's my customized pre-approval letter for that $525,000 purchase price. And it's got all the criteria, all the conditions that I, as the loan officer, would have put on this pre-qual letter. All that stuff maps over there automatically. And my borrower can now, text or email, whatever they want to do, the PDF right from their device. And let's say we submit our offer at 525 and my seller comes back and says, well, I'm going to counter at 530. My borrower is just able to come right back in here, update the $530,000, review the numbers. Okay, my mortgage payment's $4,313, no problem. The closing costs have, the total cash to close now is $41,569. And I still qualify. I'm still within the parameters that the loan officer has set up. And this is updated. So as that purchase price updated, the closing cost scenario updated, the title insurance, transfer tax, any of those things that were those variable fees were updated without the loan officer having to run back into the LOS and issue a closing cost summary. They're able to do it here. So if I want the letter now as that borrower for the 530,000, I can just click that button again. And now I've got my letter for $530,000. So all those scenarios that loan officers have to be on standby to deal with on weekends, nights and weekends is all being done here. And that loan officer, while they're sitting at the soccer game, instead of getting the text from the realtor that they need a letter, they're getting a notification that just says that I issued 2 pre-qualification letters and the dollar amounts that they were issued in. So they know what's going on. They're kept in the loop. They just don't have to leave the game to actually deal with that. Now, let's say my borrower's looking at a house in Jackie's neighborhood and they say, okay, we're going to look at a house for $5 million. You know, at this point, the mortgage payment's now $34,000. They don't qualify. It falls outside the guardrails that that borrower has set. So that button to issue the pre-qualification letter, that's not available to them any longer. So it keeps the borrowers within the guardrails that the loan officer sets up, which is essentially a max DTI or cash to close. If the borrower didn't have enough cash verified funds in order to qualify, they wouldn't qualify that way either. But the loan officer sets those parameters and makes sure that the borrower stays within them. I'm just going to put this back to a dollar amount that our borrower qualifies for. Let's just say $500,000. And just a couple other things that I'll point out. Those letters that were generated, those are compliant. They're now in the E folder also. So they're uploaded automatically. So these loan officers just issuing Word doc things and ripping these things off with no record of it, all that's gone. So super compliant solution. Everything's tracked. It's making sure that it's using the appropriate language that the lender wants to use versus just a loan officer kind of typing things out. And another thing that I'll point out is, whoops, as my phone disappears there, it has on-screen Spanish translation also. So if you're, working with folks that, kind of want to have an understanding of what's going on within Spanish, they can click that button and it'll on-screen translate everything into Spanish for them. And then one more thing that I'll point out in the last 30 seconds that I have here, we can also do the same thing with closing cost summaries. So if I hit that closing cost button there at the bottom, I can generate a closing cost summary. So my whether it's my borrower or my realtor or even the loan officer themselves, they can do all these things right from their phone instead of having to leave the soccer game. I'll close just with some final quick numbers. On average, borrowers generate 22 pre-qual letters using this technology. Realtors generate 4 letters. It takes about 2 minutes for a loan officer to issue a quick qual. And 60% of the quick quals turn into loan applications because borrowers, once you give them this technology, they stay with you. They don't go somewhere else. Jackie, I think I'm out of time. Just got in under the wire, so I'll throw that back to you.
Patrick, that was incredible. Great presentation and excellent time management skills. I also apparently won the lottery while we're on here in my $5 million neighborhood. I appreciate it. All right. Next up, we have Mike Brown, Chief Revenue Officer of Gateless. Gateless solutions reduce costs, deliver a superior borrower experience, and mitigate risk by automating tasks and decisions historically made by people for credit, assets, and income. Mike Brown, it's all you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jackie. Great job, Patrick. And thank you very much to the New York NYMBA for allowing us to come and share what we've been working on over here. My name is Mike Brown. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at Gateless. Give a little background on the company because there's a lot of things that we hear in the market. So our company was founded by Victor Ciardelli, who's the owner of Guaranteed Rate. Victor is the majority shareholder in the company, but we are a wholly separate company. Our solutions are tried, tested, and trusted in that we've spun up our technology in conjunction with the rate companies as beta clients. So over the last 3 years, our leadership team, who has over 100 years of mortgage experience, has been delivering technology to the Rate family of companies, and then they brought me on in May to bring the product out to the broader spot. So we like to say that we're not Silicon Valley engineers looking to disrupt the mortgage space. We're mortgage folks who know that it's not just implementing the software; it's the adoption and the deployments that really matter. When you're selling technology that and marketing technology that underwriters need to use, underwriters are very much creatures of habit. So inside of our group of tenured folks, we also have underwriters who deploy the technology. We've processed over 600,000 apps and over 110,000 closed loans with our Smart Underwrite product. And we see a 70% reduction in work needed to support the initial underwriting decision. So that means as we go down the path of getting to an underwriter, we create conditions, we clear conditions, and we calculate income in a manner that provides seamless automation to the users. The way that works, well, let me get to the problems we're solving. Excuse me. We're working to reduce the high cost to originate like everyone else is. We do see our clients taking our underwriting decisions and pushing them all the way to the front end. We're point of sale agnostic. We're integrated with two thus far, but a loan officer and a borrower can actually get an approval, literally to underwritten loan for credit, income, and asset in less than 10 minutes. And to date, we have no repurchase requests using our technology. We're very tightly aligned with the GSEs. The way our technology operates is a little different than what has been delivered in the space in the 18 years that I've been in it. Typically, you have a linear fashion of an application, borrower taking the app, borrower submitting documents, things that occur during the path of the loan that send that document and that data and that traffic back in this circle to a borrower that costs a lot of time and adds expense. The way we integrate with Encompass is we listen to the e-folder and we specifically update income, credit, and assets as new data populates and new documents come in. So we use our own ADR OCR technology. It's proprietary to extract data in our own decisioning for our investor guidelines. Our broader product is called Smart Underwrite. That's credit, income, and asset, full underwriting of the file. But what I'm going to show you today is VeriClear. And this is where I think we're a bit different than what's in the space. So with VeriClear, as everybody knows in the market, we have a market leader who has been consistently raising pricing on income and employment verifications. We are the only provider in the space that provides income and employment, to my knowledge, that provides income and employment with rep and warrant relief from Freddie, specific to W-2s and pay stubs. So permission source data is 100% the best way to go. We agree with that. We're integrated with most of the providers in the space that are being used in the industry. But the reality is about 50% of the time, we still get borrower documents. We still get W-2s and pay stubs. The LOs are conditioned to it. Borrowers are conditioned to forwarding them over. And so what ends up happening is the borrower will end up getting docs in. So what Gateless did a few years ago, and I'm going to switch my screen and show you our demo portal. What Gateless did was we went to the GSEs and we got rep and warrant relief because we said, well, if we're going to be doing, if we're going to be extracting and bringing data on and getting rep and warrant relief, why can't we get what we need from that perspective? And so what you're seeing here is our underwriting portal. This is what we leverage for two things, right? So one is to show a demo of how Gateless operates. And how we listen behind the scenes. So a user inside of Encompass would never see this. But the important thing that what we do here is we show the clients, this is how Gateless would operate were you to have it in production in your space. So as I look at my processing of documents, as I'm dropping documents in, and I've already staged this up and processed it through, our documents will come through and get processed as Gateless, GTLS. This would usually take about 5 minutes to go through, but you're going to drop documents into a portal, whether it's a LOS, something that gets into the Encompass folder using our borrower-facing APIs. But we'll drop the docs in, we'll extract the data, and this is what it looks like. We always have an illustrative thing to show the client, here's what we extracted, here's what was delivered back. And then all of the data is available via APIs as well. So as the docs process, we're bumping up against DU and LP if we need to, but in the end, we're going to deliver a VeriClear report. So our VeriClear report is our replacement for what is an industry-leading income verification. We have our LPA reference number here. On the VeriClear report, we'll show what the income calc was for the loan origination system, what our gateless calc was, and what Freddie calced as well. By the middle of next year, we're going to have another column. We'll have W-2 pay stubs, self-employed for Freddie, and then the same for Fannie by the middle of next year. As we will show on the report, the data that's been extracted from each document, and then lastly, how we derive the income, and this can travel along with the loan. What's great about this is if you're a lender and you're looking to deploy our solution, the way we spin this up is we turn on, it's about a 4-hour exercise inside of Encompass to get the credentials and everything teed up. We write just to our portal so we can show you what the system has done for income, and your underwriters can compare what we've done with our reporting and our income calc and what your underwriters have done prior to going live into production. We do this for VeriClear. We also do this for our Smart Underwrite product. So if you're interested in a semi-risk-free implementation, I would, it's a really nice, elegant way to get stood up and testing. Our product is priced at roughly 30% of what the industry leader is. So we're seeing clients save upwards of $100 to $150 a file just using our income product right out of the gate. So the economic spin is what you're paying that industry leader today. Come back to me. I'll do your income calc and your automation for what you're paying today. So it's a pretty nice model. Does anybody have any questions while I still have a couple minutes left? All right, I'm going to hand it back to you, Jackie.
Under time. Mike, that's amazing.
I'm from New Jersey. I talk fast.
Perfect. All right, next up we have Rich Greaser, VP of Marketing from Truve. Come see why lenders are signing up with Truve, the leader in consumer permission data. With Truve's consumer permission data, mortgage lenders can verify income, employment, assets, and insurance. The benefits are tangible from day one. 90% savings on VOIE, 96% coverage, best in class for American workforce, highest conversion rates, and integration with most major LOS POS providers. Mike Brown, it's your 10 minutes.
I mean, Richard Greaser, it's my 10 minutes.
Yes. Mike popped up on my screen. I was going back to him. Go ahead, Rich.
It's all right. I like Mike too. It's a good guy.
Me too.
Thank you, Jackie. So I'm going to talk to you today about Truve and what we do, but what I'm going to do is kind of set the stage for why Truve is so hot in the market and why people care about us so much. Shout out to Patrick, Lender Logics. We integrate with them, and so it's great to do a demo with one of our great partners on live with us right now. Truve is an open banking platform in lending. Our specialty for mortgage is verification of income and employment and verification of assets. We also have a very popular product for verification of insurance, but it's typically for servicers who need to usually update, for example, the mortgage e-clause. We do that for you through the exact same interface that you're about to see. And if you walk away with anything today, everybody, just walk away with this. We can save you 80% on the cost of your income and employment verifications. 80% is a lot of money, everybody, a lot of money. And cost savings is king right now. So that's what Truve does. We're selling savings, and we charge a fraction for the amount of savings that we're offering. So let's jump into this. Everybody knows this slide. we've seen this pushed out by the NBA and other agencies. The average cost per loan is just ballooning, and it's going up consistently, right? Now there's costs you can't control, right? There's less loans out there that everybody's doing, which makes it a higher cost per loan because the same costs have to be distributed amongst a fewer amount of loans. And then there's costs you can control. And I go to all the different conferences out there. Patrick, I see him all the time. I see a lot of the folks that are on here actually demoing at a lot of these conferences. And if you ask any of us, what are the topics that they're talking about? Two biggest problems for IMBs, for banks and credit unions, and every conference I go to are the rising cost of credit and the rising cost of verifications. Those two are the hottest topics talked about, and people are looking for solutions. In fact, they are making our market for us. So let me show you a quick slide. I don't like to throw a lot of folks under the bus, but this one is being talked about so widely at every conference, it doesn't matter. FICO's raised its prices by 2 times, one in 2023 by 400%, once in 2024 by 41%. And what used to be $15 to $30 to do a tri-merge is now $50 to $100. That cost is painful. It's painful for lenders and it's painful for borrowers. This is a cost that largely a lot of lenders can't avoid right now. This is another player in the space that owns about 60 to 70% of the market historically, and is slowly starting to diminish a lot because it's becoming too expensive. What used to be $20 to verify income and employment with the leading provider in the space that you can see up here on the screen is now about $123 a verification, right? And that's the first time you do it during application, and then you got to do it again for another $123 10 days before close, right? So you can do the math, 2 times $123. If there's a co-borrower, multiply that by 2. If someone fat fingers that, then it can go as high, and we've seen it with our clients go as high as $492, right? That's a huge expense for the lender and for the borrower. So that's really what we're here to solve. That's what Truve is, why Truve is here. And our solution is verification of income and employment. It's a consumer permission solution, meaning you have instant databases like I just showed you, where behind the scenes there's a verification being done. Ours is the consumer is logging into their bank or payroll provider, and we are pulling their W-2s, we're pulling their pay stubs, putting them right into your POS or LOS, and off to the races. It's very, very smooth, very seamless. It takes 2 seconds for the borrower to do. You can see in the top right corner there, I've got D1C and AIM, meaning we have Freddie and Fannie certifications for our product. And that's, at the end of the day, that's why we're really hot. So what I'm going to demo, before I jump in, I'll just show you. You can see that we integrate with the majority of the LOS and POSs out there in the marketplace. So what I'm going to do is jump into the demo finally. And this is our dashboard. So when you are a client, this is the dashboard you get. Most folks don't log into this, we're automated through the POS or through the LOS. But you can see the 96% coverage of the adult working Americans in the United States. 220 million Americans are covered, meaning they can verify with Truve. And so what I'm going to do today is jump into our emulator. And our emulator is what we use to show you what it looks like. Most people verify with mobile these days. So this is our emulator shows you the experience for a borrower. And we're going to demo an income and employment verification. Funny story, I got a call from my buddy who I grew up with since I was 4 years old. I'm in my 40s, but since I was 4 years old, and he calls me up and he's like, "Hey, I think I just used your product." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Well, my lender, he sent me the link. He sent me this link, and I quickly logged into my employer's payroll provider. It took like 2 seconds, and it was done." And I was like, "Well, what'd you think of the experience?" And he was like, "Well, I don't have much to say about it. It took 2 seconds, and it was done." And I was like, "Well, that's perfect, because that's exactly how it's supposed to work." And so I'm going to show you today. Let's say the borrower, the borrower can type anything they want in the search box. They can also find it through employers directly or through payroll. But let's say, let's pick one. Let's say you work at Lowe's, and we've mapped all of the employers and payroll providers, so the borrower doesn't even have to remember what their payroll provider is. Put in their username, login, and they know this because this is what they use, and that's it. The borrower is done. Everybody, demo's over. So for the borrower face, just so you know, like the demo's over. Like it's that simple, it's that slick, it's that fast. And if they forgot their password, we have a forgot password loop that's native inside the application. They don't have to drop out for it. And this is what you get on the back end. The borrower is done, and what's sent to your LOS and POS is the same report that you're used to getting with the big dominant instant database player in the space. We've literally designed it that way so that your team is used to seeing the same data in the same way. You get your identity information, your employment information, the employer income. You get an annual income summary. You even get the bank accounts for most of the payroll providers where they deposit their income. And then you get the payroll statements, the W-2s, and all of this can be delivered seamlessly in a JSON package wherever you want. I mean, it can be in typically this is to your POS or LOS, but some lenders have custom solutions and we can accommodate that too. So I just showed you, I showed you exactly what we do for income and employment, and I'm going to show you real quick assets also. So assets is our other popular product. This is verifying your income through your bank account. And let's just say the borrower the borrower uses Chase. We're going to pick up typically over all the deposits that are over $300. Let's log into Chase, give it just a quick second. Borrower is done, by the way, after this. Again, a quick demo. And after that, it's just what is sent into your LOS or POS. Just give it a quick second, everybody. Oh, this is fun. It's always fun when you demo and the assets. It takes a few seconds, but it's all right. It'll happen for me. Have faith. So I'll talk about the assets product real quick while we're waiting for this to finally finish doing its magic. What the way we calculate it is basically every deposit that is made over $300, and we'll do the income calculation that way. And you get, let's just take a look at it. Just give it a moment. Jackie, how am I doing on time real quick? I don't want to offend anybody else.
You have just a little under 2 minutes left, but we have a little extra time. So if you need 3, go ahead.
2 is fine. I'm pretty much done. You get the asset summary. You can see what's sitting in the checking and savings, and then you get deposits over $500. It's configurable. This is configured for deposits over $500, and with that you can calculate income. Very straightforward. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. That is the demo right there. I think the last thing I'll do actually is for anybody that's interested in checking us out. Let me just give them contact information for me. You can reach out to me anytime, and I'd be happy to hop on with you and give you a personalized demo. We can look at the number of verifications you're doing on a monthly basis by channel, by type. Maybe it's non-QM, maybe some of them are. We can look at all of your different business types, and what we'll do is we'll give you an estimate on what we think you're going to save, a very conservative estimate typically. And that's how our contracts are built. We say, okay, well, we think we can save you this much. Let's start conservatively. We get into a contract, and usually over time, you end up saying, I love this and I want to do more. Thanks so much, everybody. You can reach me at Richard@Truve. I'll hand it off to Jackie.
Rich, that was awesome. Thank you. I am an extremely skeptical cybersecurity attorney, so take this as a huge compliment. If somebody had given me that when I was buying a house, and I didn't have to track down all of my documents, I would have been a really happy camper. So awesome.
Cool.
All right. Next up, we have David Gregg, Solutions Consulting Executive at SnapDocs. SnapDocs is a leading digital closing provider, connecting the people, processes, and technologies that power a mortgage closing. We will showcase the SnapDocs platform designed to automate the critical interactions between lenders and title companies from pre-closing through the sale of a loan, ensuring accurate, smooth, and secure closings for all participants. David, you've got the floor.
Thank you, Jackie. And thanks to the other presenters teeing up some fun stuff today. David Gregg, I'm a solutions consultant with SnapDocs. I'm going to walk you through our digital closing solution today, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here. The closing process is fragmented and has long been fragmented, and SnapDocs set out to solve that fragmentation. In order to do so, the solution has to be flexible. It has to automate. And one critical piece, which certainly would resonate in the Northeast when we talk about attorney states and different workflows, is making sure who's ever acting as that settlement party is looped in, is connected, has visibility, and has an intuitive solution to work from. Our solution, as such, then, based on this issue of fragmentation, uses automation and a suite of functionalities, both upstream, in the midst of, and downstream of the closing, to drive connectivity. We have automated the process for CD balancing. We have a Notary Connect scheduling tool to create efficiencies in bringing in notaries. Our bread and butter, and what I'll show you today, is our e-closing solution. We also support all closing types, and as such have an e-vault, as well as capabilities to support full virtual closings with remote online notary. We've automated quality control, which I'll talk about today, on executed documents. And finally, we are working on automation for trailing doc management. So in order to solve this issue of fragmentation, we've leveraged automation, and we're moving upstream and downstream to create an excellent, efficient, and ultimately for the lender a really value-add experience in the closing process. I'm going to talk to you quickly now about our e-closing platform, and I will emphasize that that funding QC technology. Sliding over here, you'll see that I have a SnapDocs lender dashboard spun up. SnapDocs is agnostic to how a lender generates a digital closing. Once the lender is clear to close, using a series of out-of-the-box integrations we have, or a suite of APIs available to integrate to your LOS, a lender can click a button in their system of record and send appropriate data to SnapDocs. We also have a lender dashboard that is available for lenders to use. Sorry about that. We also have a lender dashboard that is available to use if a team would like to create closings from SnapDocs. Very simple interface, very clean interface. I can add a closing from here. And you see on the left, as we platformize this suite of solutions I've spoken about, there is a bias for action, bringing the lender's attention to their closings, to their QC engine, to trailing document, and what needs addressed now. Whether they click a button from an LOS or create a closing in the SnapDocs dashboard, once that closing has been created, SnapDocs automates the process of document modeling. We take that closing package and we create a hybrid package, or a hybrid with eNote package, based on pre-built models. We work with the lender during implementation to build these models. After document processing is complete, which takes just a few minutes for our scaled lenders, the borrower, the member, the signer in this closing will receive a branded, white-labeled email inviting them to participate in this digital closing. Two-factor authentication ensures that the experience is secure for the borrower, as I cheat here with a whisper code in my demo environment, but it's also intuitive, it's simple. We need to meet borrowers, members, signers where they are. They're increasingly mobile, and we don't want the sales team or a processor or a closer to get a call from a borrower who says, hey, I don't know how to get into my documents. I don't know how to access this e-sign experience. Two-factor authentication solves that pain point. Secure, but intuitive. However the closing is set up, and again, we support all closing types through our system, the borrower will have an opportunity to preview the entirety of the document package. This is a really nice quality control checkpoint and a nod to transparency for the borrower. After they've completed e-signing, they're going to execute the majority of the doc package in a digital click-through experience that should look very familiar to folks. The value of, at minimum, a hybrid digital closing, which we define as majority of the document package e-signed and a small slimmed down version of those critical to fund documents wet signed in front of a notary, is that you go from 120 pages of paper down to 20. You immediately reduce the chance for errors. You immediately reduce your paper trail. So the efficiency lift here for lenders just in moving from a current state process of all wet signed to hybrid closings is huge. We also can add additional secondary market efficiencies as a lender scales into e-notes, electronic promissory notes. SnapDocs has an e-vault registered with the Mersey registry, and the experience to execute a secure digital file, that XML data file, which represents the electronic promissory note, is 4 extra clicks for your borrower. Just like that, you've digitized this critical asset. It's automatically deposited into the SnapDocs eVault, and it's ready for your secondary market team to transfer and to work through. Most of the work's done. Our borrower has authenticated, they've e-signed the hybrid package, they've e-signed that electronic note. Now we still have to knock out that ink sign appointment. And so we need to loop title in, which is critical. We can't solve fragmentation unless we drive connectivity between key parties. Title will receive a similar looking branded white labeled email. They're going to log into their SnapDocs dashboard, and they'll be able to manage the end of this closing right from here. Full visibility into the loan, into the actions that have been taken, scheduling widget available should they need to schedule or reschedule the ink sign appointment. They'll download that wet sign package, meet the borrower, and we have a brief celebratory 15-minute ink signing appointment because, again, most of the work's already been done. Everything I've showed you is mobile responsive, is device responsive. So the answer is yes, the borrower can do most of the work from their couch with a device of their choosing before they show up at the table to wet sign critical to fund docs. The QR code here on page 1 of the wet sign package is a secure link back to that e-sign package. So even if the borrower shows up at the table and says, I didn't e-sign my docs, we can still maintain the integrity of a hybrid closing by using that QR code. Once that signing is complete, settlement will simply drag and drop an executed wet sign package into the dashboard, add post-close contacts if they'd like, and that package will be combined and shipped back to the lender. Now, as I'm talking, we are automating a quality control check on this closing package. We're checking for missing initials, signatures, dates, notary stamps, using AI, using a model that's been trained on what to look for and identify in these closing packages. So we automate up front, we automate on the back end, we drive connectivity throughout the closing process, and the result is savings. It's increased speed, it's an increase in borrower SMS, and it's a digital closing solution that lenders are using at scale across the industry. If you'd like to chat more, happy to answer questions, and thanks for the time. Jackie, back to you.
David, amazing. I spent almost 20 years in real estate doing thousands of closings before I transitioned into cyber. And the emergence of the hybrid closing really, you kind of hit the nail on the head. It made it a celebration. people were so much happier to sit there for 2 or 3 documents than they were for, a 2-inch thick package that they didn't really, I mean, it was just, the monotonous nature. So I'm super excited about this, and I wish you tons of luck.
Thanks, Jackie.
Absolutely. Last but not least, we have Marcus Lamb, Head of Account Management and Solution Engineering at Poly. Poly operates the industry's only vertically integrated capital market solution, adding demonstrable value to the entire mortgage value chain, from rate lock through loan sale and delivery. Marcus, the floor is yours.
Sounds good, everyone. So I'm Marcus Lamb, Head of Sales Engineering here at Poly, and I'll do a quick one slide and dive straight into the demo. So at a very high level, Poly is a product and pricing engine that is our core business line and our core product. We've also got an analytics platform, a competitor and BI reporting tool, a loan trading exchange. We have a whole host of API services for lenders that use our services. On this quick overview, we've got over 200 customers today, roughly 20,000 loan officers use our system. We have 200 investors on our site. We're integrated with, I believe, three LOSs right now, and we've got about 3 in the queue that we're implementing. 25% of the top 100 lenders use our site, and then lastly, about 15% of lock volume in the US runs through Poly today. We base that on lock volume against the NYMBA number. So I will go ahead and dive straight into the demo because it is a really big system, and I've got 9 minutes left at this point. So from here, we'll start here with the admin login, and this is what we call version management. One of the great things about Poly is that we will take a snapshot of the pricing engine every single day, whether it's a manual release or an auto-publish, and we will track the history of those changes. So in the event for whether it's change management, or you've got a loan officer saying, hey, I ran pricing last week, what's going on? You can go back into any previous version, review all the build out, review the rate sheets, all the rules you had in place, and you can test scenarios. And then from there, you can do your research. This is the version that's on my site right now. This is called Draft. Draft is where you would go in and make changes to investor overlays or margin and so on. The great thing about Draft is you can have multiple people working in the system at the same time. We will track all the changes that were made in the system. And on top of that, if after you release a production, you don't like what happened or you want to roll back, you can just spin up a past version of Poly, make that current, and then go back and fix what you need to fix, or just sunset that previous version. Another great thing about Poly is our ability to create custom parameters. So our system allows you to create as many custom fields as you want. Some really fun use cases that we've seen with banks, credit unions, IMBs, and brokers, and so on. Especially for banks, it's being able to link assets under management or deposits as a way to either improve the margins on a loan, improve incentives, or unlock portfolio eligibility. We also see lenders use it for builder forwards as a way to isolate specific products, specific note rates for their forward contracts. Another one we see for custom fields is the ability to use soft guidelines. So we have some non-QM lenders that will specifically put in like the source of gift funds as a soft guideline in there as a way to help fine tune their search. And then lastly, and I'll just show you what that looks like on the screen here, but like lead source adjustment. We have lenders that will group margins accordingly based on the source of the price of acquisition. So you can see how quickly we can add a rule to the site and add a custom field to the site and start writing rules based on that parameter. The next part about our system is let me back up 1 second, is how we do our rules. So the way the rules work in Poly is that the name of the game is that you write the rule once and then you apply it to the rule group. So you can create as many rules as you want. These would be overlays to investor guidelines, so like min FICO and so on. And then we do that through rule groups. You can create as many rule groups as you'd like as well. So here I've got a rule group for hedge. I can use the bulk modify button and add the products I want to this rule group. So let's say hypothetically you wanted to impact all 15-year down payment assistance, CRA, and home ready, home possible products at once. You would create a 15-year rule group, bulk modify all that on there, and then use this bulk modify button to assign what overlays you want to those rule groups. So it's a really easy way to only have to write the rule once and then apply accordingly. With the rules themselves, one of our big differentiators is how we do our margins. So I'm going to pull up an example of a corporate margin here. So we use a grid format to do our profitability calculations. And essentially, the way I like to think about this is if you can do it in Excel, you can do it inside Poly. These grids, once you've built out your template, you can either copy and paste, you can use this upload functionality and dump it straight from an email if you have to. And our margin allows for unlimited configurability. So if you wanted to do like a state adjuster here, you can go ahead and, whoops, that is not a product. There we go. It's a property. You can go ahead and hit state adjuster, select the first three if you wanted to, or the first two. And then from here, you can also select lead source, which I showed you earlier. So here I've got my Marcus referral and the builder, and you can even drag and drop where those components sit on the table and go ahead and modify your grids from there. So it's a really easy way to build out your margin table and manage profitability across the entire organization. Back over to rules, we also allow unlimited portfolio products. So if you do have a port or you work with an outside credit union or bank or street firm that gives you the ability to create your own portfolio, we give you the optionality to go ahead and build out your eligibility on the screen and go from there. In terms of lock desk, we do have tons of lock desk automation. There's full automation, partial automation. Essentially, if you're a fully head shop, there's really no reason why we can't automate the whole thing for you. And if you are a best effort shop, we can do a mixture of partial automation and to manage with your workflows. One really cool thing about Poly is how we do our exception workflow here, price concessions. You can set limits based on the user request level and approval authority, and there's a whole work stream in our system that handles that. I'm going to come over to the loan scenario tab to show you what the loan officer UI looks like. So from here, we have got our scenario tab. So loan officers can run scenarios or they can go straight from the pipeline. There's 4 ways you can access Poly today. You can go direct to our website, and as long as it's wired up to your LOS, you're good to go. Another way is to go from the LOS, the point of sale, and lastly, I'll show you mobile lock from our system. But this is our front end of the UI. You have your loan amount, you've got your down payment information, you've got your address and address validation. So for banks and credit unions, we do need to write census tract ID rules for CRA incentives. We have the ability for you to get really granular with your margins. And for those of you selling CRA outbound, either through correspondent channels or just to CRA broker dealers, you have the ability to write rules around that as well. All our custom fields show up here on the lower right-hand side. And then lastly, for the results side of the house, we have rate alert as a feature of our system. We can sort by price, you can sort by rate. We do have an AI co-pilot here. So loan officers can speak to the computer as if they are just speaking to a friend. And we use OpenAI's large language model behind the scenes, and it interprets what you're saying and then fills out the form accordingly. So you can say things like, what's the best rate of the price of 99, or my borrower needs a payment of this, or you can use it to fill out the application form as needed. I'm going really fast here because it is a really big system, and I want to apologize for that. We also have a host of analytics that we provide. So there is a competitor intel piece where we are taking actual locked volume in Poly's system, comparing it against the lender's locked volume, and we're providing details on the average rate, the average price, the margin. You can filter down by state, by MSA, by institution types, whether it's a bank, credit union, NYMBA, or wholesale lender. We do have all the analytics in place for you to compare how your locks are coming in relative to your peers. And then on top of that, we do have internal reporting for your own production. So whether it's lock volume, where you have reports here that are interactive, margin, price exception, lock extension, you can see who your worst offenders are. You can export all that data into Excel if you want to view which loan officer is giving you the most amount of brain damage. And then lastly, we do have a profitability dashboard, which is just a really high level gross gain on sale. Lastly, I do want to show off our mobile UI. Give me a second to get that loaded here on the screen. So we do have a mobile access. You can lock from your cell phone. That will be available by the end of this month. We are at the final touches of our system. But essentially, this is currently pegged to an iPhone 14 Pro Max, but it'll adjust accordingly based on your device. It's not an app. It's just going to Poly's website, either through Chrome or Safari or whatever you're using. From there, you've got your eligible, your ineligible. You do have your sort options as well. You can go into specific products. Imagine this gray circle is my thumb, but here you can see your pricing adjustments, your LOPAs, your rate adjustments. You've got your eligible and ineligible up here. And then on top, you can access your pipeline. And as long as you've got a loan in your LS, you're good to go. And then this is the search screen for that. So you've got your scenario, your filters, you can search essentially all your products. And lastly, we do have all of your custom fields on the screen here. So whether it's like a physician loan, FICO, or a lead source, or builder forward, all that can be handled in mobile as well. And we are looking to put the AI component in the cell phone. So we have some users that are testing the current AI as they're driving and talking to their phone. And I would not recommend that, but you could get a rate quote and have the computer read back to you the responses. So I think I'm at 10 minutes right now. That was really fast. If you have the normal demo typically takes over an hour. Please reach out to us at sales@poly.io or visit our website at poly.io. And Jackie, that was, I think, 10 minutes on the dot, and I'll send it back over to you.
You got it, Marcus. That was awesome. I know it is a really short amount of time. So thank you. I think that we can share our presenters' information with the audience afterwards, so that if anyone has any questions or follow-up, you can feel free to reach out directly. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Patrick, David, Rich, Mike, Marcus, you guys were awesome. Your products are exciting, and I think you're offering so much to the industry. So great job. I'm going to turn it over to Joe to just give us some closeout remarks, and then we will see you back in January for 10 on Tech with some exciting guests.
Thank you, Jackie. Yes, absolutely. These are 5 industry-leading companies. There's absolutely no doubt about it. In 10 minutes, you saw the power and the capability of what their platforms can provide. And clearly, for any of you that are interested, please do sign up, so that we've got more information that they can share. As Marcus said, a demo can go an hour or 2, whatever you need and whatever your management team is looking for. These folks will certainly put together a little bit of a deeper dive and make sure that everybody understands the capabilities and what they offer for their products. So again, great work, gentlemen. We appreciate your time. We appreciate the leading technology that each of your companies is striving for. It's amazing the advances that this business continues to see. So we're very appreciative of it. Thank you for the partnership. Thank you for spending your time today. And again, all of our attendees, we encourage you to reach out and work with these companies and certainly advance what you're doing as well in your mortgage space. So with that, this will be posted out in the next couple of days. You can find it on our YouTube channel. When you go to YouTube, just go up to your search bar, type in @New York Mortgage Bankers Association, and you will not only see this, but other recent webinars that we've had, messages from our president. So, again, information that's always good for you as you try to maneuver through 2024 as it comes to an end and plan for companies and businesses that you want to work with in 2025. So again, Mike, Rich, David, Marcus, Patrick, and of course our host, Jackie, thank you guys for 10 on Tech. Great time. Happy holidays to all of you, and thank you everybody for attending.